Welcome back to Stamping at the Warren, and I'm Kim Tolton, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make a very quick and simple Z-fold card. And the stamp set that we're using is the Seasonal Bells stamp set, which I just love, and I'm actually going to do a workshop to a group of ladies this evening using this very stamp set. So I'm doing the video primarily to support them with tonight's tutorial, and so they can watch it back and replicate the cards as and when they need to. So the products that you actually, I'm going to show you these first. So these are some examples. So this is a green version, olive green, she says, and I've got it the wrong way around, so there we go. And then you just pop, open it comes, and you can have it so it opens either way. It's entirely up to you. So that's a green version, and then I've got a red version, and this opens the opposite way. And you'll see I've stamped the background here, and the same with this one. It's been stamped, but there's a white panel so you can write on it. So that's two Christmassy ones. Then I've got this one, which I love. I made this for one of my grandchildren's birthdays. So again, this one is more designer series paper with a nice big sentiment in there. But they're all made using the same template and pretty much the same products. And then finally, I just thought that it would be quite nice to use the bells to make a wedding one as well. So I've used the Best Wishes stamps on there, and that's so cool. And I've just coordinated it with some Blushing Bride stitched ribbon, and I used Flirty Flamingo to stamp the background here. And I think that's quite pretty, and I've just popped a wink of Stella pen over there just to give it some shimmer. So that's what we're making. So I'll put those to one side. And the rest of what we need is, you will be needing the layering squares Framelits dies with your Big Shot, preferably with a magnetic platform. If you haven't got a magnetic platform, use the multi-purpose platform or the Big Shot platform, depending on which Big Shot system you've got. So you want those, and I will make sure the actual sizes of the dies I'm using will be on my blog and in the show more section of today, along with the product codes. So if you want to order anything, there's a link on there to take you straight to my online store as well. Right, so the other bits and pieces that you want, you're going to need some garden green cardstock, because we're going to die cut out a label. You want some scraps of Whisper White, and then your main bits and pieces. The card base itself is 14 by 21 centimetres, so it is a bit smaller than a standard card, but not exceptionally so, and it still gives a lovely card. And then the designer series paper that you want is, I'm using this Christmas designer series paper here. It's just beautiful, so I'm going with the this beautiful snowflake, and I think that will coordinate really nicely with the garden green and the old olive. At least that's what I'm hoping. So yes, that measures 13.4 by 2.5 centimetres. You've then got a piece of white cardstock that measures 13.6 by 7.5 centimetres, and a piece of the designer series paper measuring the same. You also need your bell punch. You will notice I can't close mine. I tripped coming into the workshop and I went for a Burton, and so did the punch, and the little clip that closes it has come out, so I'll have to wait until I finish the video before I get it back to normal. Oh, and I've also got some ribbon just to coordinate everything nicely. So we're going to start, we need to do some scoring. So I'm actually going to use my stamping trimmer just because it fits up here better than my scoring tool. Right, so you want to score at 3, so you can go the opposite way if you like. So you're going to go up this way. 3 centimetres is the last line at the top here. Oh, nearly cut it. Where's my scoring blade? Nearly cut it. I have cut it a bit. You'll have to forgive me that bit. And then move it up and go to 11 centimetres and score again. So that's 3 and 11 centimetres. And that's it. That's all there is. Hopefully folding it up will hide the little bit that has been cut. So you just want to fold those score lines. So you've only got the 2, and you want to have it so that it's this way. So I hope you can see that. So where your score lines are, what you want is for this to come, your left hand side with a narrow strip needs to come over towards your right hand and down. Grab your scoring tool, not scoring tool, your bone folder, so you don't, and that's the fold that you want. And from there you can decide whether you want it to open this way or whether you turn it round and you have it opening that way. It's entirely up to you really. So that's the base card. Next we're going to pop on those bits of Designer Series paper, which I've now hidden under the stamp set. Right, so here we go. Right, want my Old Olive ink pad. I like to ink up so that my stamp is face up, and it is a very gentle tap 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 tap. And between each little tap 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 you can check to see if the ink, if the stamp is inked up nicely, and if you've got any ink around the outside. If you go gently you shouldn't end up with ink around the outside. Occasionally even I do, so don't worry about it. I need that left open. And then that way you can turn over and you can start to stamp. And we're just going to randomly stamp, use first and second generation stamping, so we've got a variation in colour. And first and second generation just means that you stamp twice before you re-ink. And this Old Olive goes really quite nicely with tone on tone, as I've done here. Right, so now I'm just going to add a few randomly stamped ones in the middle, and there you have your stamped panel. Hopefully you can see this. I seem to have really wandered over. So that's that bit. Right, now we can put the Designer Series paper on, and the best thing to be doing that is Tombow, and my Tombow has, of course, as everything is today, disappeared now. There it is. Right, so that little 2 centimetre, 2.5, yeah, no, 2 centimetre I think it is. I'll check. Yeah, 2 centimetres, thought it was. So make sure you're putting some Tombow on the back side of the paper you want to use. Sorry, I've got my tongue hanging out now because I'm trying to position it. The nice thing about Tombow is you do get a few seconds for positioning things properly. There we go. And then this is going to go behind here, so behind that fold. so that when it's open you can see the pretty papers. Now you don't need much Tombow at all. It really is a very, very good adhesive. It gives you a few moments just to manoeuvre things around and then it sticks for good, and it is so quick. But the trick is not overdoing it with the glue. So it's gently with the glue. There we go. Right, so that's those bits. That's the base card actually made. So what we need to do now is go on and do our die cutting, and then the last thing will be our stamping. So I have got 3 dies here, all from the layering squares, and you will notice that they are each one smaller than the other, and one of them, this one, is scalloped. So the scallop is going to be cut out in a colour. So I just want my scissors, and I find it easier to cut around, and then you don't waste quite so much cardstock. So that's that one, and then the other 2 you want in white, but ideally we want to stamp those. Actually no, we can stamp them now, or stamp them afterwards, because it's quite generous. Right, so we want one of those and one of these. You just want to get some scraps, that's all I've got here, just bits and bobs, and again just roughly cut around them. So that one fits on there, and then we'll go up there, and I can do both of those at the same time. In fact, if we're lucky we might even get all 3 through the machine at the same time. Let's see, shall we? Right, so up comes my big shot, and you need 2 acrylic cutting plates. So we're going to put the garden green here, and I reckon we will have to do it as 2. So let's do this one first. So you just pop your top cutting plate on, through it goes, give yourself a purchase on the handle at the top. And that's your scallop. And then we can bring in this piece, hopefully you can see it, 1 and 2, and then we can die cut those at the same time. And I've selected these so they all layer, but we're actually going to be layering it up almost in diamond levels, so there's a bit of interest in. Look, I've done another scallop. Oh wow, I'll have to do another one, won't I? Right, let's see which one I've done. Which one did I get right? This one I haven't done. Typical, eh? I put another scallop die through. There we go. God, do you know, given that it's a bit overcast today, it's blooming hot in here. I don't know if it's just the lights, but I really am hot. Right, I need to put those dies nicely to one side so I don't lose any ready for tonight. 1, 2, and I've lost one. Knew I would. Right, 1, 2. 1, 2, and there should be another die. I don't keep them where I know they are, they get lost. Okay, so what we're doing first, there we go. So we're going to pop, actually I've cut the wrong one. So I'm going to do it by hand here. Snip off, same on both sides, and then that will go on there. There we go. I'll make sure you've got the measurement so you do it correctly. Right, so that's going to go on there, and then your green scallop circle, scallop square, which I've also lost. Oh no, it's there. Oh, what a dim wit I am today. Seriously, folks. Right, so that goes on the inside, and these we're going to stamp this one, and then we're going to layer everything up. Right, so we're going to start with this bell one here. It's very difficult to explain what it looks like. Hopefully you can see that. It's a very pretty bell. And we're going to do 2 of these and do them in, I'm going to do these in crumb cake. So we're going to use a marker to stamp technique here. So we're going to just go all over the stamp, make sure you get everything in. There we go. And that's that one. You want one going on the towards the left. Re-stamp, re-ink. Again, just making sure it all gets in. If you take a little bit longer to get it done, just huff on it like that. It will re-ink it, and it'll make it much easier to stamp. There we go. So we've got 2 bells, and then onto a scrap we're going to stamp the other bell, and this one's lovely. I do like this one. It's just got a really lovely snowflakey centre to it, very delicate. And for this one we're going to go back to the old olive. And obviously Stampin' Up's biggest selling point is coordination. So what you will find is that there's 5, well I suppose 6 colour collections. There's 2 in colours and 4 main. But all of the colours work together, and all of the accessories work with them as well. So it's actually really hard to get things wrong when you're working with Stampin' Up products. So it helps to keep everything really nicely coordinated. So just pop that in, guide it through. And I like to do it so you can see from the front. I'm just playing with it a bit just to get it in nicely. And punch. There we go. We've got another little bell, and you're going to pop some Stampin' Dimensionals on the back of the bell. Just a couple. simple, that's all you need. You're going to pop that over the top and slightly lower than your others. Oh, going upside down, how could I do that? Stupid woman. I know why, look what I've done. Oh, dearie me. I am going a bit doolally today, that's for sure. Right, start again. Now I'm just going to double check with my bell to make sure it does go in the right way. So that's that. So we need to have it that way. I'm just aligning it so that it goes into the punch correctly. There we go. I just put it in the wrong way round. Rushing, I think that's what it is. I don't like to waste your time. Still around the wrong way. This is what my chronic migraines do, they make me so fuzzy headed. I do apologise. Right, punch. What do you reckon? Do you think we've got it this time? Yes. Right, so another couple of Stampin' dimensionals. Back here, so we're just going to go slightly lower. There we are, and don't worry about this because there's going to be a piece of ribbon that goes over there. So bows, what you do is you have the tail going away from you, hold it together, then get your other end, flip it so it goes away from you, and then tie a knot. No, it doesn't want to go. You want roughly the same length tails. It's not crucial, but it does help. Right, tie your knot. And pull on the tails gently just to shorten them up so that you get your tails, your bow the right size. Pull gently, see where you're going. If you want the bow smaller still, and I'm not happy with how long that is, so just pull it in. And you just hold the centre bit and then tie again. Yeah, I'm much happier with that then. That's your bow done. And mini glue dots. There we go. And then that goes over the top here. Just so. Okay, right, and now we can just finish assembling and then do the label and we're done. So this goes down on here and we're going to use Stampin' Dimensionals. I want lots of lift with this card. always think Christmas is the big time of the year where you can indulge yourself a little bit more. There we go. And you can see how the different greens work together. So we've got 3 different greens on there. And then this is going to go down diagonally. So I'm going to put it on my grid paper here. So it's centered, and then that will help me with my positioning. So I just need, make sure I've got it going the right way. I just need a couple of dimensionals. And you just want it so it's overlapping like that. So it's created a star-like shape. That's where we're going, if that makes sense. Christmas, we're going with star shapes. Right, so last job, another piece of scrap paper, and this time we're going to use the Happy Christmas stamp, and we're going to go with my marker again. Where are we? My crumb cake. And I don't think I finished saying, but there's a brush tip and a fine tip, and you just choose which you want. And I personally find when inking up stamps, the brush tip is much more effective than the fine point. Okay, so remember, nice big huff, and then stamp down and up. So it's straight down, straight up, and we're gonna cut around this rather. So freehand cutting. And remember to rotate your cardstock, not your scissors, and it gives a much better finish. You do want roughly a 1 to 2 centimetre gap of white, or whatever you're using, whatever colour you're using for your white space. But you just need that 1.5 millimeters gap, just so when you have finished making your label, it stands out. If you do it so it's all coloured in, so you're doing maybe tone on tone, or you lose a lot of the definition of the stamp that you've just stamped with. And it's the same even if you're using designer series paper. I rather like matting onto whisper white or shimmery white for the same reason. You can get that lovely definition around your image. There you go. That didn't take long, did it? And then this is going to go down the bottom here once we've mounted it on our card base. And I can't see the card base. Help! There it is. Right. So for this we're going to use a little bit of Tombow, and again you just want to line it up so that you don't come off of this 2 centimetre strip. So the easiest way of doing that, I've lost my topper now, there's my topper. The easiest way of doing it for me is I use my fingers to just roughly line it up, remove the topper, and then you can put just a fine strip of glue between those 2 lines, and then you can pop it back on. Now you will find that your card is not symmetrical on this 2cm panel because it has to work with the width of the card, if that makes any sense whatsoever. Hope it does. So you'll see it still fits side by side, but actually it's slightly off centre, but nobody will notice, I promise. Right, couple of, no, not couple of, we're just going to use a piece of Tombow again, just to stick our sentiment down here. Would help if I had it the right way around. And if you need to move it, you've just got a few seconds where you can move it. And then get your paper piercing tool, nice big rhinestone, and pop that in there underneath. And the only thing left to do is to pop your panel on for writing on. So this one here. So you just want to pop this in here, and that gives you a panel. You could stamp that if you wanted to stamp a greeting in there. Actually, I think that's about, oh, that's probably a millimetre or two too wide. Let's just take that off. So, get the back side up, bit of Tombow, and what did I do with my card again? See, jumble it up and I lose everything. Go on, I bet you're all screaming at me. It's in front of you. Yes, it is. I can just see it. And there you go. And that goes down in there. And like I say, you could just as easily stamp that. I like writing my greetings in, which is why I just leave a plain white panel. But it's entirely down to your choice. So that will, I mean, it will be a large letter, envelope, postage fee. But, you know, it's Christmas, and I think at Christmas we deserve to treat ourselves and our loved ones. I'm just going to do a couple of nicer ends there. There we go. And that's it. So there you have your Z fold, and look, it's like a little piece of art, isn't it? So sweet. That's it anyway. I'm really sorry for how fluffy headed I am. I promise I will try to do my best to recover from my cluster migraines. I've had about 6 weeks of cluster migraines almost daily, and it's absolutely knocked me for 6, but there you are. That's another story. Anyway, all of the details will be in the show more section under today's video, along with all the links to my social media accounts. There is a little eye icon in the top right of today's video. Click on there, and a little card of today's tutorial will be showing there via my blog. If you click on that, it will take you straight through to my blog post, and the full tutorial will be on there. Or you can click on the link beneath today's video, and that will also take you over to my blog. But in the show more section, as I said earlier, I will have all of the products and their product